This is the new Tesla Model 3 Performance. Let's take it for a spin! I don't have much time with this new Tesla Model 3 Performance, but today I'm going to give my first impressions and try to explain why this might be the performance car deal of the century.
I have owned a Tesla Model 3 long range for 3 years. I've always thought that this car was fun to drive, had a great chassis, great performance, and the best drivetrain in the world. There are some things I do regret when I made this purchase. Why did I not spec a tow hitch? Why didn't I choose the white interior? And most of all, why didn't I go for the performance model when I bought my Tesla Model 3 long range? You would want that at a later point anyways, right? And I've always thought about upgrading to a Tesla Model 3 Performance. There are 2 stages of upgrades for me on this Tesla Model 3. The first is the upgrade to Highland, or upgraded Model 3, or re-engineered Model 3. This update is a large update to the Model 3 which gave it better suspension, ventilated seats, better sound deadening, and better styling, and so on and so forth. I first drove one of these Model 3 Highlands last year, and I have a video on that. I was able to experience all the NVH improvements and all the improvements to the styling, the improvements to the driving feel, and the improvements to the sound system. And I was really impressed by these upgrades. The second stage of updates on this car for me is that this is a Performance Model 3. And the Performance Model 3 has, of course, performance styling like you can see. It has sports seats. It has a performance drive unit in the rear, so more horsepower, around 460 horsepower in Europe. It has a different battery in the United States, but I'll come back to that. It has 20-inch wheels and track mode version 3 available. So let's run through the technical specifications first. So 460 horsepower like I mentioned. The US model has more horsepower because it has a different battery. The battery in the US model is made by Panasonic, and the battery in the European model is made at the Gigafactory in Shanghai, and the Gigafactory in Shanghai uses LG batteries, which are the same form factor, 2170 cells, that they use in the US models. They are made by LG. It results in a lower power output on the car itself. So the car in Europe is worse than in America, and that sucks. It sucks for more reasons, because the LG battery is thermal throttling if you put it under high speed for a very long time, and it also doesn't have the same performance gain up high as the Panasonic battery, so it's worse, unfortunately. The car weighs 1,856 kilograms, this specific model I have here, without a driver. But there are of course variations there as well, but it's a pretty light electric car, and it weighs about the same as a new BMW M3. The top speed is 261 kilometers per hour, so it's a little bit slower than the last performance model, but it's just 4 kilometers per hour slower. And this drivetrain is not meant to be driven at those speeds, and it will have very slow acceleration after once you pass like 170 kilometers per hour, you will definitely feel that you have much less torque. I'm going to go through the driving impressions of this car. I'm not a performance driver. Please view the auto-spec video on the Performance Model 3, which he drove in Germany. There you can see actual proper terminology for driving dynamics and correct use of the different terminology. This car feels amazing on twisty roads. You have the feeling that you can place the car wherever you want, throughout the entire curve. So it's super easy to place, it's super fun to drive, and I do actually feel like this is one of the best cars I've ever driven, if not the best driving feeling ever. I love how this car drives, and it's much better than my 2021 long range in many places, but mainly due to actually having a much more sportier chassis, which you can place wherever you want in the curve. It has less body roll, and the seats hold you perfectly in place compared to the old one. So it just feels amazing, and the steering itself feels a little bit tighter. You can actually choose different steering wheel options, but in my 2021 long range it doesn't feel that different. But in this new Tesla Model 3 Performance, it feels entirely different once you go through the steering settings. So the heavy steering is actually heavy, which I do like. You can get through curves at amazing speeds, and you can get out of them at amazing speeds because you have fantastic acceleration in this car, especially down low, and especially I would say down low and then up to like 100 kilometers per hour. It feels great. I wish it had more top power, but as I said, I haven't tested this properly, so I'll leave it to other reviewers to do that. This is our first impressions video. The brakes feel good, it stops fast, but I've heard rumors that the thermal longevity of the brakes themselves kinda suck. So keep that in mind. Maybe if you do a lot of performance driving, you would want some upgrades to the brakes. Let's talk a little bit more about thermals. The LG battery sucks for charging and therefore also for driving. Charging and discharging is both not a strong suit for this battery. I have the LG battery in my 2021 long range Model 3 and it should be very, very similar to the one in the new Tesla Model 3 Performance here. So it feels like this battery is actually not good enough to be in a performance vehicle because you need thermal longevity and you need the car to not overheat once you do a little bit of performance driving. I would really like to see Tesla put a Panasonic battery in the European models as well, even though I know that's difficult in terms of shipping stuff from the US. Yeah, they should really just sell the US made performance Model 3 over here and then have a little bit of a price increase instead, in my opinion, because people would want a better battery in their performance model than in the long range model, especially once you go into track mode and you adjust everything for track use, and it's really not good enough. So that sucks that we get the LG battery in this car. For long range, I think it's sufficient, but the charging is still kind of bad, so I hope there are some new developments in battery tech from Tesla. They have really fallen behind on some battery stuff. Even the amazing heat management system and octavalve in the Tesla can't fix the LG battery once it overheats, unfortunately. And the charging curve is suboptimal as well. For daily driving, this car is fantastic. You have autopilot and it's easy to drive, it's easy to start. You don't have stalks, but it doesn't bother me as much as before. They are clicky buttons, and it has 20-inch wheels compared to the long range and the standard range, which both come with 18 or 19-inch wheels depending on your choice. These are definitely more noisy than the 18-inch wheels that I tried in the long range Model 3 last year, the new one. But that car was also on winter tires, and winter tires are softer, so it's difficult to gauge the difference in real life. But I do feel like the 20 inches take away from the comfort, even though I move out of sport mode on the car suspension. Feels a little bit rough at high speed, but it's quiet. It's quiet. I think I would go for 19-inch winter wheels on the performance. I think that's no problem at all. Price and bargain. In Norway, this car is cheap. It's 1/3 of the price of a BMW M3, for example. And both in the US and Europe, this car is a performance bargain, in my opinion. Especially for curvy roads and, of course, the down-low acceleration and stuff like that. Yes, it has thermal issues that you won't get as early on a BMW M3, for example. Yeah, so it's not perfect, it's not a perfect performance car, but for the price it's difficult to find something else to even compete with this car. All my complaints kind of fly out the window once we talk about the price. There is nothing that comes close at this price. Let's talk about if I should upgrade to this car. Should I? Please leave it in the comments below. I would really like a performance car, but I really don't like the LG battery limits that we have here in Europe. And I'm not sure if I want to support Tesla when they do stuff like this to have the margins that they do on cars. So please leave it in the comments if I should upgrade my trusty 3-year-old Tesla Model 3 long range to this one, or if I should wait for something else. Thank you so much for watching my first impressions. As I said, these were just impressions, this is not a review. I haven't had it enough to do a proper review. Thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe if you enjoyed this shorter video, and I'll see you again soon.